การเป็นพ่อที่ต้องเลี้ยงลูกสาวมาคนเดียวมันไม่ง่ายเลยนะไอวอรี่
แม่ของไอไปไหนคะ
แม่ของแกเขามีคนอื่น
To me, one of the scariest things about getting older isn't actually seeing yourself age. Sure, when I pluck out the occasional gray hair, I pray it doesn't return tenfold, and the roller coaster track that is my spine makes any physical intimacy truly a ride to remember.
My back!
But truthfully, every morning I get to breathe in and out is a blessing. I mean, I never thought I'd see 28, so I'm grateful for getting to stand in front of that mirror, come what may. It's not the wrinkles that scare me, no. The fright is looking at your reflection and realizing all the harm that helped etch those wrinkles there so permanently. All the shadowed terror that rested dark moons under sleepless eyes. The weight you've come to wear as posture, growing older at a rushed pace because you had to run from a lot of danger early on. And now, late at night, safe behind closed doors, with the keys in the lock and the empty bags against the wall, you're still figuring out how to stop running. While it's true that how, when, and how much harm someone is, may, and will be exposed to is in part dependent on their social circles, positionality, privileges, etc., we're all bodies before we're somebody. And while I of course hope otherwise for you who is listening to this, the harrowing reality is that most of us have experienced SA at least once at some point in our lives. We live in a corporeal economy of a world where consent is treated more as a poetically vague concept by design, a commodifiable weapon of sliding scale importance in favor of the oppressor, rather than the actual plain, accessible, literal, free, and crucially consistent verbal and physical act of communication it is and always should be. Our bodies, that is, queer bodies, are treated as a tool, and our traumas build upon internalizing this. And so we too end up practicing love that is anything but, consistently cycling through generational cycles of internalized/indoctrinated harm within all our relationships. We confuse the organic freedom of our identity with the efforted liberation of our conditioning.
Whatever that means.
Collectively and individually, we've become rather desensitized. So much so, we get to memeing and making light of the dramatized harm we watch. And shows like Harmonly Secret depend on that. It learns little from its own messaging and teaches us even less. A dark romance, where we are kept in the dark on where the romance is.
ไม่ใช่แค่เจ้านายที่ดีนะแต่คุณไอเป็นเหมือนแสงสว่างในชีวิตฉันเลย
Cut the fucking lights on, bitch.
Credit where credit is due. The show's production value certainly does its visuals justice. Cinematography does a decent enough job given the tone it's instructed to frame, and the soundtrack is well curated. The show might be costing me a lot to watch, but at least it looks expensive. More importantly, Lukmi and Sonia do a phenomenal job with the subpar script they've been handed. They are actresses through and through, and as much as emotional layering of their personality was possible, Limsey put in the work to lay out this, well, layering.
ฉันไม่เคยได้ประโยชน์อะไรจากเครื่องดักฟังนั้นเลยที่ฉันยังไม่อยากออกอะเพราะว่าฉันแค่อยากได้ยินเสียงคุณ
Plus, it also speaks volumes to Lukmi's acting in particular, as I'm noticing between this and Affair that she's being typecast as the more aggressive character of the two, which I personally find rather sinister.
I see you. We good. Okay. We good. I see. We see each other. We see each other.
Despite this, she does her best to give her character depth. Sonia brings a solid performance too, digging deep for the high emotions. Even if I cannot in good conscience fully root for anyone, I find myself feeling angry and genuinely bad for Maevika, for all the harm she's put through, some of which she never figures out even by the end of the show. Sonia's precise acting makes it possible to empathize with a character that is herself both victim and engaging in harmful behavior. And that is thanks to how she evokes May's vulnerability, hope, pain, and anger by expertly utilizing her eyes, physicality, and line delivery. They both carry their heaviest scenes with a characteristically embodied exhaustion that speaks volumes to their craft, as is the standard for Lindsay. Without wanting to compare their works too much, their usual chemistry does seem tamped down in this show, in contrast, likely because of how their character writing recontextualizes the intensity and feel of any shared intimacy. That is to say, Ivarin and Maevika's passionate attraction to one another is still visible, but I'd say the topic of portrayed chemistry matters little for this show, as this is not a romantic story anyways.
คุณจะขอเลิกกับฉันอีกแล้วเลย
ฉันขอโทษนะคะ
And the rest of the cast does a fine job too.
Are you?
We don't need to talk.
I can't have so many girls like you.
Every time when I'm being discreet, I gotta be now.
I think Lily and Belle make the most out of their characters' plots and shared romance, rushed and unnerving as it all may be. Yam and G's glorified servitude, trivialized mental health issues, and misogynist characterizations are altogether a disservice to Lily and Belle's first partnered acting debut, but they manage their best with what's given to them.
ถ้าเขาสองคนต้องเจ็บกันทั้งคู่ เราจะอนุญาตให้คุณมีความสุขได้ยังไง
That you don't got.
Oh my goodness. Yes, ma'am.
Their dialogue too, just like that of the leads and frankly most of the side characters, is drenched in rape culture, which unironically is quite fitting for the world they inhabit. See, the depicted shallow universe of Harmony Secret is not one that is unplausible or full of holes, quite the contrary. It is a curated on-screen peek into the exploitative, wealthy, and concealing bubble of predatory opulence the upper class protect. Harm, money, and secrets.
I have the mind of a mastermind.
Not a lived reality for most of us, but its world comes with great potential of telling a crude, harshly honest story. If, and that's a big if, it so chooses to be intentional about the messaging it delivers, in writing, directing, and otherwise. That there is the Harmon key, however. Intention.
No, it's not funny. It's really not funny.
The show pictures sexual violence between queer women in a queer story, and multiple times at that. But what is the show's intention with it? Commentary? Dramatization? Romanticization? What purpose does it serve the story? And how is this made clear? How aware is the show of the constructs of violence it portrays? Harmony Secret, with its repeated Dutch angles, bombastic sound design, and misogynist writing, does not seem to value answering any of these questions. Instead, its only value seems to be the shock. The very first love scene between the leads is sexual assault. Ivarin assaults Maevika. It's shot as a scene of sensationalist drama by the guide of the camera angles and music, and it only gets worse from there. More assault, coercion, drugging, manipulation, spying, all guised as part of some building romance. Not to mention the classic tropes of abusive parents and murderous business competitors. Nearly everything and everyone was deeply predatory one way or another, yet none of it had depth. As my misery with the show grew, so did my curiosity with the book. I had to promise myself I wouldn't read it until the show ended. Episode 7 was my last straw. I couldn't grasp what I was even watching anymore and just started reading. I figured the source material couldn't be any worse.
Have you learned nothing?
To my surprise, however, the book is nothing like the show. There are still heavy themes, granted, but at least it all serves a narrative purpose. Neither of the main characters outright assault one another. The characterization is intentional and consistent. In other words, consent is, mostly, front and center in the book, and central to Aime's romance. And to be honest, I am still at a loss as to why they made all these changes. There is so much inserted harm here, it's almost funny. I want to make it clear that I definitely deem Maevika a victim in this story, even if she isn't innocent either. I do not see her acts of harm as parallel to Aiwarin's, not that harm can be measured to compare anyways, and would even say it is rather concerning to do so. She is assaulted and constantly overrun by Aiwarin, who rarely respects her boundaries right away, if at all. The planning of the bug is rape culture, certainly. Listening to Ai's breathing whenever she pleases, without her knowing, is jail-worthy.
You're not going to jail. You're going to prison.
May returns Aiwarin's scheming energy, it would seem, which could have actually made their dynamic and the stakes more interesting had we addressed all what May went through as harm in the first place. The girl gets drugged, for God's sake, mid-intimacy, and wakes up confused in Aiwarin's bed. She is a survivor of assault, and it's frankly sickening to me how the show tries to paint their dynamic as one of an even back and forth or a two can play this game type of thing. That perhaps is ultimately the final long nail in the coffin, where any attempt to salvage the messaging of the story is concerned. Stories about manipulation, abuse, and harm matter, especially within queer representation. Queer media carries a shared responsibility in actually creating and adding to the discourse. While we are very much deserving of romance without a representation of rape culture, unfortunately, we still do need stories that address how the normalization of sexual violence can and does affect us. That isn't to say I look forward to them in particular. I prefer a fluffy GL as much as the next day them, where consent is as much a plot point as anything else. But the problem is, portrayals of harm are already happening in those shows too, regardless of how light they may seem to be. Narratives around sexual violence need to consistently not be glamorized or romanticized if the respective show wants to actually deliver conscious commentary on it.
She's really good.
Harmony Secret wants to have its luxurious cake and eat it too. All the aesthetics of massive wealth, none of the commentary on classism. All the drama of betrayal without paying any mind to how and why its perpetrators are redeemed or no. All of the high fashion without any genuine addressing of the lowly violence these characters embody and hide behind in designer clothes. Harmony Secret is in itself untruthful, amounting to nothing more than the glorifying of abuse as a means to romance. Its world is honest about what it is, but the show is not.
Walk a mile in these Louboutins.
In the end, all that amounts to is more normalization of the tropes and acts and themes we fight so hard to de-internalize every single day. And I refuse to buy into this normalization, any more than I already have with the memes I make, that is. Do not get me wrong, I am not shaming anyone who enjoys the show. I get it's just not that deep for some people, for whatever reason. But while Limsey are one of my favorite GL pairings, and I was as excited as anyone for this show, somewhere between the myriad of shocking changes from the book, the lacking natural flow of story, and the gratuitous violence, Harmony Secret lost the plot. That said, as much as the show's harmonies are secret, I do hope you are surrounded by love that is spoken, dear listener. The song of your soul shouldn't be kept quiet. It is a peaceful pastime to all whose ears come to pass it, with a purpose to listen and the time to hear. So don't fear, the right folks will. They will find in you what you are learning still, that you have always been worthy of the right intentions. You too deserve a romance, of whatever kind, that might take you by surprise, but never take without mind. People who come to you as they are, honest, open, as you come to them. Lovers, friends, beginnings, and even ends. Falling in love with you for everything they do not yet know, everything you have yet to grow, and everything you together expose. May you stretch far and wide over your own scars. May you taste the riches of real love, in this lifetime and the next. And may it cost you nothing you cannot afford. May it grace your lips and speak your name. May it reveal your tune. For you are pure music, you have always been. Take your time, find your rhythm. Love yourself, dearest. As more shows keep coming out, and the Thai GL industry is growing at an impressive scale and rate, I do hope we get to see more on-screen portrayals of romance that are healing. Whether it be Thai GL or anywhere else, though of course Thai GL is already leagues ahead in its respective growth. Now is the time to set the groundwork, for we deserve to see what queer love looks like in all its capacity. We deserve a mirroring of the love we fight for in the mirror, so we can grow older with love stories that remind us not of what is lost to the past or what we'll never have, but rather what's next. Because trust me, this isn't even close to as good as it gets. Thanks for watching.